Hey, I'm Ginger Jesus, and I like to do stuff. Today we're going to be going through a whole bunch of Super Nintendo games and replacing the save batteries on them so that for the next 20-25 years, not have to worry about losing progress and just have a good time. Some of these are 30, 35 years old now, and these batteries weren't made to go that long. They were made, they were intended to last 20, 25 years max. That was the max that they thought that they were going to last, which was more than enough at the time. We just didn't, we didn't know. Save memory that didn't require power was expensive at the time, and it was just a more cheaper option to throw in a 3-volt lithium battery on these things that it required such minuscule power to do that, it was going to last a long time. But now here we are in the future, 2025, and it's time to replace these things. And follow along with me. I've got 5 if I need to update the video. Actually, I have a lot more, a whole bunch more. I don't know if I have this many batteries more to replace right now. We'll see how that goes. If you're watching and you like this kind of content, please go down here and subscribe, hit the bell, notify button. It helped me out a lot if you enjoy watching these. Please subscribe. Let's get to it. All right, what are we doing today? We are changing out some save batteries. Show what you need. That'll be good. So, things you'll need. You need your games. You will need some tabbed batteries. That's what I recommend. Console 5 also sells button cell stuff like this where you can slide them in and out. Pretty convenient on that part. But not all cartridges will fit them. Most Super Nintendo stuff it'll fit in. A lot of cartridge-based games will accept these, and these are pretty good quality, affordable, easy to get, reliable. Majority of the time, 99% of the time, these are all going to be great, brand new, reliable. I'm going to show you how to test that. Make sure before you go through the effort of soldering one of these in, if it's good. Things you'll need for this, a little helping hands is always great. Either a 2-holder like this from Harbor Freight or one of those nice big trays you can see them on Amazon. You'll need an iron. This is from Harbor Freight as well. It's temperature controlled, makes it nice and easy, but you don't have to have a temperature controlled soldering iron. You can have a 30-40 watt one. They sell some cheap ones. They work great. You just got to make sure you're careful with not leaving them plugged in so they get hot, because they get hot, they'll oxidize and burn the tips up. You will need a meter. You do not need this meter. This is overkill for what I use it for, but long time of being a technician, I had to have one of these. So you can get even just the free ones from Harbor Freight that you get coupons for, the little bitty red ones. I got probably 17 billion of them out there. They're great. Throw a battery in them, test little things here and there, and it's good enough for, like this, where we're going to be checking to make sure it's 3 volts. You don't need nothing serious like this right here. This is overkill. If you're intimidated by it, don't be. You do not need heavy duty stuff like this. Or even necessarily heavy duty. It may be out of a lot of people's price range. It was out of my price range for a long time. It was only $100. It was out of my price range for a long time. I did coupons for the 30-watt Harbor Freight stuff for years, just because all I did was solder wires on cars and fix stuff. It was fine. I was able to buy, sell, save some money, and get me a little bit nicer one. It's been great. You don't have to start out that way. You can start out simple. Actually, I recommend starting out simple. Try it. Get some cheap games that you know need batteries. Get some cheap electronics. Try it out. Start practicing soldering. Get you a fan, keeps fumes away from you. You can have a good time with it. Don't be afraid. Anyone can do it. I didn't know what I was doing 20 years ago. I still don't know what I'm doing 20 years in, but I know a lot more than I used to. Just like everyone else, we all knew nothing at one point in time. You will need solder wick, which is just braided copper. We will use to suck up all the old solder, so we're able to take the old batteries out real nice and easily. More basic tools you'll need. You will need some solder. Yet again, Harbor Freight. Great stuff. Good percentage lead tin mix that I like. It's easy to melt. Wick, solder, something to hold it with so you don't burn yourself. Battery, game you want to save. Any meter that, as long as it can test voltage, some kind of soldering iron. Use liquid flux. You will need a little brush for your paste flush cutter. This is a Klein Tools from Lowe's. I just picked out one that looked really nice, but as you'll see, strikes again. Pittsburgh, cheap, except this one, I did get the one that has this little tab, and that is for when you cut wires and stuff, it will hold it so that you don't click and it just goes off into the nowhere and it ends up in your foot later. So I might use this for these since these are kind of long. It's going to be cleaned up so that in the future, make it easy. So that's the basics of what you're going to need. First things first, we are going to test these batteries. Make sure they're good. How do you do that? Do a little cleanup real quick. Set this here. So on your meters, you're going to have a couple different settings. V is for voltage. MV is for millivolts, volt. The squiggle line is for AC, so it's going to be like your wall power. We don't need to use that because all of this is going to be DC, which is this flat line right here. The flat with the dashes over the V is DC. You can turn it to DC. Your meter will be a little bit different. So you got your probes. Red's for positive, black for negative, or what's going to be called common. You're going to put it on DC voltage. Yours might say it on it, depending on which one you get. Red ones that you can get from Harbor Freight for free or real cheap. I don't think it has anything on it that says it's DC. I think it's just on the dial of a couple different voltage ranges. I think it has like 10 or 20, 50, 100, and then it goes up from there or something like that. You read the manual for the range you want to look at. We're only looking at 3 volts here, so you want to find which one's positive, which one's negative. On this one, top is going to be positive, bottom is going to be negative, as you can see right here, right there. See, it has plus 3 volt, plus for positive, bottom negative. Red lead positive, black lead negative. On that tab, and hold this tab and make sure we get at least 3 volts. These are lithium batteries. They usually come 3.2, 3.3, around that range, 3.268. That's a good brand new battery. So you want to have 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 is going to be your new lithium voltage range. You will need what's called a game bit because it's Nintendo, because they wanted to screw us. I got these in a kit from Harbor Freight, Quinn brand. Nintendo games specifically, you need the 3.8 game bit. For the console, you will need the 4.5. So what do you want to start with first? Classic can always go first. Just for me, to keep the noise down for y'all. Need your cart, need your battery, need your game bit, need your solder, need your flux, solder wick. Basically all you need. Recommended to have some kind of plier. Oh, iron. Need one of these. We are gonna set everything back. Get that game bit, put some pressure down on it. You're gonna have to give it some force. Not too much, just a decent amount. There you go. Crack this open. It's counterintuitive, but the front of the cart is the back of the PCB. When you do these, all only go in one way. So they have these little cut notches out here that match up with the notches in the cart, so you don't have to worry about when you take it out, oh, did I put it in backwards? Is it wrong? Am I going to mess it up? It should go in one way. So this one's lower and this one's higher. You can't, anything's possible. You can't put it in backwards. You can see on the back right here, see how these are folded over like that? That's why you will need some kind of plier or something to bend them back up so that you're able to pull the battery off. Looking at this, we can see that this is positive on the top, comes over to this right side here. On the left side is coming from the bottom, that's ground or negative. That's going to be negative, that's going to be positive. We don't need this no more. Bam. I'm going to set this up, hold this thing for me in a way that you can see. You don't necessarily have to do this, it just depends on what kind of holder you have. Mine has sharp metal claw tips, so they can scratch things. That's why I've got tape on these, but that's starting to cut through. Throw a little tape on so I don't scratch the board. Now we have really nice, easy access. You can change my tip out. You can see I got a point tip. You can do it with these. It's just a little bit harder. I'm gonna cheat, make it really easy on myself, and get out what's called a wedge tip. Got a lot more metal to it. It'll hold a lot more heat. It's gonna make it really easy to get this nice and hot and get that solder to wick right off into the braid. This particular one is a Hakko T18-S3. You don't need Hakko tips, but I do recommend. They're not super expensive. If you get an adjustable iron, buy some of these. They work amazing. They heat up much better, even though I do use a lot of the Harbor Freight tips like this. As you can see, it's pretty discolored. This is Harbor Freight tip. This is Harbor Freight tip. Another one in here. But I did go through and buy some Hakko tips. They're amazing. You need to be very careful not to break this ceramic heater. I'll use this one right here. Nice big one. Easier. We'll try 350 first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this paste. Just give it a nice little coating. It's going to do wonders. And what I do So I'll take this, I'll take my wick, and I will actually paint the wick with that flux. And what that's going to do is it's going to help a lot with sucking all that solder up real fast. You'll see what I mean. We will start on this right side, which was the negative. And we're just going to put it to it. And look at that. It soaked a lot of it up right then and there. See how much that soaked up? That cleaned up really, really well. Can I pull this tab over? Look at that right there. Already loose. That's amazing. So you saw how I went from further in and pulled it through. Put some heat to it, and I can pull this as it soaks up. I can pull it through where I painted that flux on, and it will soak right on down. I might be able to get away with this just a little bit because I've got a little bit more wick on this end. So cut this excess off. I just realized I forgot a very important tool. You need a little fan, just something, some kind of little something. And I'm going to set this up real quick. Get you a fan of some kind to keep those flux fumes away from you. The flux fumes, they're bad for you. She's still just a little stuck on that back side. Give it some persuasion. Get that straight up like that. That easy. We got spent flux on here. Have me a little bowl here. Put a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Only the best from Sam's, 91%. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up a little bit. I'll get all that off. I'm gonna flip this over and just do a little clean on this side. The old battery and a new battery. What you're gonna notice is we're gonna take the old battery and the new battery. The tabs are ever so slightly not aligned. They're a little bit close together, if you can see that right there. I'll draw a line on screen so you can see what I'm talking about. 1/8 of an inch difference. What that is in non-freedom units, 3mm, give or take. We're going to adjust this negative, but you just kind of got to give a good estimate on where it needs to be bent at. What I'm going to do is try to bend this over and nearly flat and bend that little tab up to match where this one is sitting at. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 90-degree bend like that. I'm going to push this battery towards this while I'm folding it to flatten that out. Kind of fold it back in on itself. Just like that right there. You can see that? And that is going to make those tabs line up almost exactly. Now I'll try to put a little before and after. Now that matches up really nice. Now, use pictures, use video. Make sure you get the right spot. Positive is this top side, negative is this bottom. I can take that, match up those tabs, and wouldn't you know that my folding technique was perfect. Hold that battery up with my finger just ever so slightly. I'm going to give just a little bend to both of them. I'm not going to flatten them out like it was from the factory. I'm just going to give it just a little bend so that when I let go of it, the battery stays in place. We are ready to solder this new one on. A little flux so that solder can flow all over this real nice. I'll put this here, just give it right there into that little wedge, and that is more than enough. Didn't take much at all. This one is a little bit bigger, so we'll take more. Put a little bit on that side, a little bit on that side. And just like that, that is nice, good, beautiful solder job right there. It wicked itself onto the pads really nice. It wicked itself onto those tabs really nice. You don't want to use too much because it can end up going through the other side. Just a little bit got through the other side because it was, but that's fine. You don't want to do too much because you don't want it to go everywhere. I used a little bit too much, as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm actually going to use my other ones so that in the future when someone's coming by and they need to wick all that out, it's a lot easier. Like how I had that trouble getting underneath the old one because it was folded flat. It's going to make it a lot easier for the person in the future. So now we will clean this flux up a little bit. Make sure it's good and dry. that is The Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, done. Now we got a fresh battery save in this thing. It should last us another 20 years. Maybe we'll come back a good old 2045. So I got my trusty quiet towel here. Let's put this thing back together. Like I said earlier, this is keyed. Slot that in there. Perfect. And these have little hooks on this top side. So you'll kind of close it like a book. That right there. Hook it in and then bring it down. Everything sit nice and flush, top and bottom. We can grab our screws. We can grab our game bit. Now when you do these, give just a little bit of pressure and you will unscrew until you feel a click. Just like that. That means the threads on the screw have came over and dropped down right into that first thread that is on the plastic. And you don't want to rethread this plastic because it's old, it can be brittle, it can break. You want to thread the screws back into where they had already from the factory been cut. It will tighten up real nice and not risk damaging or breaking what you're screwing into. Just finger tight squeeze there. That's more than tight enough for this. And that's that one back together. Let's move on to the next one. Super Metroid. Great game. They left no space. We're back at it again with the helping hands. Am I recording? Yes, I'm recording. Okay. Whew, got scared there. All right, we got this taped up. Go and get this set into my little helping hand here. Ooh, that is sharp. Wow. Crank that back up. Scrub my tip a little bit. Make sure it's clean. Flux around these battery contacts. Paint the wick with flux. Jesus, my brain quit there for a second. Alright, drop that out. A couple of Q-tips. Clean this up. Get that spent flux out of here. Cut that temp back up to 350. A little bit of flux paste right there. Do the same thing I did with the other one. I'm going to fold this tab. So, let's do that. Drop this in. And we bent those perfect. And it dropped in just like the other one. Perfect. And get that mixed up on this pad pretty good, and then bring it over, and that's more than enough. Do the same thing over here. Pad first. And that's more than enough. That looks good right there. Nice, good, solid soldered tabs. Now that that's done, there's a little bit of tabbage on each one of these. Grab this. I'm going to... That looks good. And clean it up. Now when I go through and put these together, I'm going to put a nice layer of this on it. So anybody that picks this up in the future, when I get it posted to Marketplace, it'll work well with their system, help keep their pins clean and keep these pins clean. Alright, we got this thing cleaned up real nice. So let's go ahead and grab our screws. Key this in to that right there. Hinge top down first. Just like that. Pop these screws in. Just finger snug. Perfect. Oh, good Lord, it's 2:20 in the morning. We're just gonna speed through a lot of them, and I'll kind of put some snippets in here and there, some background music, and for y'all to enjoy just kind of watching along. Let's start with this one. Dragon View. I've started playing it. It's pretty fun. I haven't got very far in it, so I'm not worried about the save that I have on it right now. is kind of interesting to me, the way it plays, how it's got a weird, like a map setup that is weird first person exploratory map between the areas, but then when you get into the areas it's like a side scroller setup, but you have like, there's like a story to it, and you know, it's just this is a pretty interesting game. Grab that, just the skinny part, like that right there, and I'll come out at a 90-degree angle. So now that pin comes down and goes out, and then I'll take it and I'll put some pressure on the battery, and I'm gonna fold that thicker part in there, I'm gonna fold it back on itself. So I'm gonna do it just like this right here. We're gonna go in, fold it like that. We got a nice little fold there. That will line them up almost absolutely perfect, just like that.
Alright, here we are for our last one. Mortal Kombat. Let's go ahead and knock this one out and get to the end of the video. I just noticed it's strange. This one doesn't actually, it has the extra pins, but it don't use them. They're not connected on either side. So I wonder why they use this board, unless they just, maybe they had to, because they needed the extra room for the chips on here. It's just a odd little thing. And that's the last of them. So that's it for replacing some save batteries in SNES games. Just did a kind of a smattering of them that I have here. You can see some of the different board designs. They're all basically the same. There's a couple of them they're a little different, but they're all generally the same. Most of them, the pins are easy to get out, so most of them are pretty good. They're pretty easy. You saw I had a struggle with some of them on getting them to desolder. Had to add a little bit of solder to some of them, so yeah, it's alright. But if you enjoy this this kind of content, please subscribe, hit the bell for getting notified of when I put stuff up. I'm gonna try with some advice. I'm gonna try to be semi-consistent. I don't know what days exactly. Maybe Tuesday, Friday. I want to do at least one a week. Let's start simple, but I'd like to do at least 2 of these a week, so you can keep up. Some stuff that I feature in here is for sale on my personal Facebook account, but I'm probably gonna make my own separate one. So if I add it, there may be a link down in the description, or it may be in one of the later videos. Once we get down the road a little bit, after we've gone through and restored and refurbished a few of these, and maybe a website, I don't know, I'll figure it out. It might be just a Facebook page, but that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.